Good evening, everyone. So thanks for coming. Welcome to Serving Speaks. My name is Joseph. So some of you already know about Serving software, maybe some of you not. We are like software design company, so end-to-end digital consultancy service that we have. We originally from Norway and we serve in Thailand since 2014. So we have more than 8 years in Thailand. We're helping all the clients in the different domain, different business across the size of the small size, medium size, and also corporate startups. And we're helping all of the clients. I just want to show a quick video of our So the purpose of our serving speech is that we just would like to share, like our knowledge and also invite the people from the community to discuss. We also have a time to mingle and talk and discuss about the topics, and we always share, like interesting topics. And we also have internal speaker and also external speakers to bring up like a very interesting topic, and we have a discussion at the end. Yeah. So we always just doing like this kind of like event like at least once a month or twice a month. And you guys can follow and like our social media and also like Facebook and LinkedIn. We always update on what we are doing and what kind of upcoming events we have. And also sometimes we share the articles that what we found out as well. And just a little bit about our company. So we are like 200 plus people here with around like 28, almost 30 different nationalities working together. So we're very always fun. We always have like internal activities ongoing, and yeah, we also have a lot of like collab that we have, like activities we doing like a gym or conflicts. We also play like games like in house, and also sometimes everybody like joining in a different lab. Yeah, this is how like we're doing. Not only coding, we also do a lot of like things, and also we eat a lot. Yeah, we have like a buffet lunch twice a week. So yeah, everybody has to stay fit and fun as well. Yeah, of course, like if you guys are interested in our companies and also join with our cool team, we are always hiring because we are expanding the team very fast. Right now, like we have like a few positions like cloud and also backend, web, and Android, tech lead level, and also senior developer levels. We have UX designer, QA, Scrum Master, accountant. You or yourself interested, or maybe some of your friends are also open for the job opportunities. Just ask them to contact directly to the job site Serving Software, or they can also check on our career page, Serving Software/career. We always update our opening opportunities there, and also we attach the job description in details. If you have any other questions, you can also drop the message in the Facebook or LinkedIn. Yeah. All right. Yeah. This one is like our like event page. You guys can stay tuned with the next upcoming like event. We always update there. Yeah. So I will invite Dimitri to explain about our topic. Yeah.
Sure. Thank you, Joseph. Welcome everyone. My name is Dmitry. I'm head of mobile. So today we will talk about Jetpack Compose, a new modern Android framework which we use for Android development or UI. Today we will start from navigation as one general part of any application. And I would like to welcome Fedor. Please welcome.
Hello, my name is Fedor. So today I wanted to show how to navigate between screens easily with Jetpack Compose. Yeah, so today we will cover how to set up navigation with Jetpack Compose. We will cover how to create navigation host, how to add different composable destinations, and we will also see how to pass simple data, how to pass complex data like parcelables between your screen destinations. We will also look at how to implement deep links for your composable destinations. And as well, we will talk about how to test your navigation so it works properly. And the last topic that I will cover is how to add beautiful screen transitions, because you want your screens to slide in and slide out. So we will start with setup. So depending on what you need inside your app, you might need one or several dependencies. So the one that you will most certainly need is navigation compose dependency. So this dependency will let you set up navigation host, and it will let you pass simple data between your screens. If you want to pass something more complex, like your parcelables between your screens, you will need your favorite library for serialization. For my example, I'm using Kotlin serialization library. So in case you want to add tests to your navigation, you will need navigation testing library as well. And the last library that you might want to need is Google Accompanist library. So this library will let you animate screen transitions. This is officially supported Google library, and it will be streamlined to Jetpack Compose in future releases. And Google as well promises to give you the guide how to migrate to stable Compose. But this library is good enough to use in production as well. So we'll start with the basics. We will cover how to create navigation host. Once you edit the dependency, you can call navigation host function. It has three mandatory parameters. So the first one is navigation controller. And you can use remember nav controller function of the library. You will also need to provide the start destination. In this case, it's splash. So as you can see, it's just a string because under the hood, Compose navigation is using URI deep links. And the last parameter is the builder, where you have access to navigation graph builder. This will come very handy in later in this meetup because we can get different arguments from this navigation backstack entry. So we've created our navigation host. So now we need to add our composable destinations to this navigation host, and you can use composable function. So composable function has two mandatory parameters. So one is the route. So the route is a splash screen. And the second parameter is content. So inside the content, you can directly call your screen level composables. So in this case, we have splash screen. And as well, you have navigation backstack entry. So you will use it later to get some arguments from there. Okay, we've covered how we can create navigation host and how we can add composable destinations. So most probably you will want to pass some data from one screen to another, and Compose offers this functionality. And actually, they recommend to pass only primitive data between your screens. So there is a reason for that. The first reason is that you will always have a single source of truth principle. So if you pass only, for example, a user ID, you can always get the data from your repository or use case. In case you want still to pass some complex objects, you can use save state handle and just retrieve it from your view model. You can check more about why this is a recommended way on Google documentation, and they have pretty good reasons for it. So out of the box, Compose Navigation offers 11 types that you can pass between your screens. So starting from booleans, floats, integers, longs, and strings. And as well, you can pass arrays of these types. So this should be enough for Google recommended architecture for your application. So now let's see how can we actually pass this data. So again, we will use the same function. So we have a composable function. And here in the route, it looks a little bit different. So we have the base route. So it's called simple argument. And we will use slash to separate our arguments in this path. So for your arguments, you need to put curly brackets and pass the name of that argument here. The next parameter that you will need to pass, you will need to pass a list of named navigation arguments. So it should contain the same name as your argument in the root. And you will also need to set the type of that argument. So in this case, we have an integer type. So yeah, this is a quite easy setup. So how can we pass some data to this screen? So it is a very simple way to pass data. So we can use a template expression since it's just an integer type. So we use the route. So it's called simple arguments. We use slash and then we just pass our integer here. Okay, so we created the screen. We passed the data to that screen. How can we get that parameter? So it is pretty easy. So as I mentioned before, we have access to navigation backstack entry. And it has arguments. And we can call any function that we need. In this case, we have integer. So we call get integer with the key. And we get that argument. And then we, of course, pass it to our screen. So yeah, this is the recommended way, but you still can pass your parselables if you want to. There is a way to do that. It is more complex than passing simple arguments. So the first step will be to create your custom navigation type. So to create custom navigation type, you need to extend the navigation type with your type. So in this case, we have a message data class, which is a parcelable. And you can also specify if this argument can be null. Once you've extended this class, you need to override these three methods. And in case you wonder what is this getParcelable type, so it's just an extension function that I created because of deprecated methods, so it doesn't look ugly on the screen. So yeah, the first method is get. So basically we get our object from the bundle. The next we have parse value, so where we decode our type from string. And the last method is to put your object inside your bundle. For this, I'm using Kotlin serialization, but you can use any plugin, like for example Moshi, and which you use in your project. Okay, so once we created a new navigation type, we can create a new destination. So in this case, we use the same composable function, and the starting root is complex arguments. Again, we separate it by slash, and we separate the argument with curly braces and type the name of our argument. And in this arguments list, again, we use nav argument function. We provide the name of our argument, which is message, and we set the type to our custom navigation type that we just created in previous slide. So how can we pass that data to our complex argument screen? So since it's a data class, which is parcelable, first we need to create a JSON string. So JSON encode to string. And in this case, you might already want to pass it to your navigation controller. But if you pass directly the JSON string, it will crash because the Compose is using URI deep links. So you need to encode your string to UTF-8 format. So after you created your JSON string, we just call navigation controller navigates, and we use string template again and pass that JSON string there. So why do we need URI encode? Again, is because if you don't use it, you will probably see this exception. So it's illegal argument exception, and basically it will say navigation with this parameter does not exist, so it's not found. And as you can see here, we have our JSON string, and what happens, it's not encoded, so special characters are not encoded, that's why it's crashing. So if you see this exception, you forgot to call URI encode. Okay, so again, how to get that message in our destination? It is exactly the same through navigation backstack entry arguments, and you can call get parcelable and provide the key for your parcelable, and again pass it to your screen, in our case complex data screen. So actually this is not recommended by Google because it leaves room for error. So you can the data might change while this user navigates between the screens, or you might accidentally modify this data. Okay, so we've covered the basics of navigation. The next topic I wanted to talk about is how to organize your navigation code. If you have a fairly small app, you can keep everything inside one file. However, if you have many destinations, your navigation class will get very, very big, so it will be very hard to maintain that code. So I'm using the solution provided by Google. So basically, what we can create extension functions for each Compose destination. And inside this extension function, we will call composable function for each of our screens. So in this case, it's pretty small. So you probably should not create a separate file for this. But in case if you have many arguments, if you have deep links, if you have additional inject view models, it's a good idea to separate this extension function in a separate file, and your navigation graph will look much better. Okay, so the next topic is how to implement deep links in your navigation. So it is super easy with Jetpack Compose. So the first, you will need to declare an intent filter for your deep link. So in this case, we have the schema compose and host navigation. So once you've added this intent filter, you can go to your navigation graph. And again, we just need to add additional parameter to our composable function. So we have parameter deep links, where you can provide a list of navigation deep links. So here you provide the URI pattern. So in this case, we have schema compose, hosted navigation. And same like the route, you can define the arguments here. So the argument ID, so we have here. And this is it. This is all that you need to add here. And this argument, again, will come from the arguments, same like the arguments that you pass with navigation. So you don't need to add anything else except for the list of deep links here. So after you've implemented this, you just test it. So in this case, I have a very simple app. You can see the first message here. We pass compose navigation /2, and we get the second message. So very, very simple with compose navigation. Okay, so probably you want to test your navigation so it works correctly. And it is quite simple to set up. So I'm not covering the cases if you're using Hilt because you will need additional dependencies and there will be more setup in this case. So first you need to create compose test rule. You need to create navigation controller which will be of type test navhost controller. And you will need also to set up your test. So the first, you need to create your test navhost controller and add navigator, compose navigator, and pass it to your navigation class. So after you've added these, you can go ahead and write your test. So we will use again the compose test rule to perform some actions. In this case, we have a button that says send primitive data. We perform click. And then you check your navigation controller, current backstack entry, destination route. So here we assert that this is what destination we actually need. So quite simple for the testing, but this is without Hilt. With Hilt, you will have to add more setup. Okay, and the last topic that I wanted to cover is how to add animation between your screens. So for this, we're using a Accompanyist library from Google. So it is just 4 steps to animate these transitions. So first, step number 1 is to replace your navigation controller. So we just change the function from remember nav controller to remember animated nav controller. The step 2 will be to actually replace your navigation host with animated navigation host. So step 3 will be to replace the import for composable function. So it will change from the standard one to Accompanyist composable. So if you accidentally miss this step, you will not see any transitions. It will be just a white screen. So don't forget to change this import. Okay, so once we have changed our navigation host to animated navigation host, we get 4 additional parameters. So we have enter transition, we have exit transition, we have pop enter transition, and pop exit transition. So here we have access to animated content scope, and you can add as many animations as you need, so you can combine them and have a nice transitions between your app. So this solution actually applies transitions to all your destinations. And this might not be the optimal solution because, for example, if you have bottom sheets, the bottom sheets will get animated as well. And most probably you don't want to animate your bottom sheets. If you have bottom sheets, there is an option 2. So the composable function will get the same set of parameters. So we have enter transition, exit transition, pop enter transition, and pop exit transition. So you can define each destination will have its own screen transition. So this is a better way. Okay, so it's a very, very fast change. And actually, I will show you how fast it is to change from normal navigation host to animated navigation host. So step 1. So we have this application. So as you can see, there are no transitions. So this is just regular navigation. So first step is to change host controller to animated host controller. So this is step 1. Step 2, we have navigation host. We change to animated navigation host. Then we have our composable. So we just need to remove the existing imports with company's library. We'll go here and go ahead and replace this one. Yeah, okay, this is the correct one. And yeah, this is basically it. So now, if we run our application, and of course we will need to add our transitions here. So I just copy paste these transitions and let's run our application. So now we will have our transitions. So let's look here. Yeah, and here we have very nice smooth transitions. So yeah, very simple to change and that animation. So yeah, basically this is it for my topic. Yeah, if anyone has any questions, yeah, please go ahead. Yeah, I'll try to answer them.
Hello. Can I get any share element transition in navigation? Share element transition. So
Yes.
like how to share element transition in this? How to apply this one?
Yeah. So yeah, basically yeah, there is only 2 ways, like to set for the whole navigation. So you can set some type of animation for all screens, or you can yeah, create some animation for separate destinations.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Well, let's say that we want to track events, let's say maybe Google Analytics or the amplitude or segment, whatever it is, right? For like route changes, navigation changes, we want to track every screen changes. Is there any easy way to do this on top of the network controller or some rubber class that let us do that easily?
Actually, I did not implement exactly this way, but for tracking events, we can use launch defect. We can declare some launch defect inside our composable destination. So maybe when the user opens it, it will send the event only one time. And if the user navigates to another one, yeah, it will send only once. So I think one of the launch defects will work for this case.
Thank you.
Okay, since there are no more questions, I'll pass the microphone to Dimitri.
So our next topic will be about animation, something that we need to implement to provide better user experience to our users as one part of beautiful interfaces as well as functional one. Naeem, please.
Hello, my name is Naeem, and thank you all of you, and thank you Fedor to present this beautiful topic. Today's my topic is the Jetpack Compose animation. As a web developer, animation is a very difficult task to implement in mobile application. So thanks to Jetpack Compose that they introduced the animation library. So today we are going to discuss that. So how we will implement animation in our dependency? We just need our one library. That's a dependency Jetpack Compose animation, but is nowadays is already merged with Jetpack Compose UI. So if you are at this library, you can get animations. If you don't need add this library, then you can also, because you are using the Jetpack Compose UI animations. So let's move to animation flowchart. If you notice here in this flowchart, we can get all type of animations that we can implement. This flowchart divided into two parts. From this side, this is a high level API, and this is a low level API. It's divided by two. And if we want to implement animation like hide content and show content, we use the high level API. Let's discuss the high level API. High level API is basically have three APIs. That's animated visibility, content size, and crossplay. Before we use the before Jetpack Compose, we are using the animation in defining asset files like this. Like this type of, we define a create a folder to n, and then we go to slides. Their size in, size up, we create XML. But Jetpack Compose by default define this animation for us. This kind of for entering, for exit, you can fading, scaling, even those siding, all these implemented in Jetpack Compose animation. So right now we don't need to create a folder and then create XML. So no need. Just in Jetpack Compose, we just use this one, enter slides vertically or slides out. Nothing complex, I think. So now I'm going to present the appearing and disappearing the content. How we want to appear and disappear the content. If user want to click on any button or want to hide any action, so just simple animated visibility. Just like you can see that here, if I click on this button, this will be show and hide. It's very simple. Just define this visibility like this one, fade in, fade out, and then I will show this visibility scope. It's not so much complicated, I think. So now is content. So if you notice, mostly applications have a lot of content and want to change behave on the like add see more. You can see the see more button, and when you click on that button, and content will be appear more. So it's very easy to achieve that, and it's sorry, I think here you can see that before this are just showing the simple image. When I click on the button, it will be content change. It will be a background and show a full image. Same like this one. This is a crossfade animation, and this one will be a showing appearing and disappearing animation. That simple, just showing this. Now move to low level API. Before this, we are working on the high level API. So what is low level API? Low level API are based on all high level API based on the low level. It will have a 4 animatable object, animate as state, animation. These are basic 3 states that built on low level API. What is animatable? Animatable will hold your animatable via transition. You want to transit one screen to another screen, it will hold this one and animate as a state. It will like a remember state that you can state your, if you go to another screen and you can come back, and it will be a remember your state, which will be a state. And animation basically have a 2 type of, one is target based animation, second one is decay animation. Target based animation have 2 parameters. That one will define the their target, how long it will be run, and how much. Like I want to run application 2 seconds, and after 2 seconds it will be go somewhere else. So I will use a target. Here is a simple example of target that I mentioned, that we need a 2 initialize value, that when will it start, and target value and after that it will be 1000, it will be go to another one or dismiss, something like that. And decay, what is decay animation? It don't need to create initialize the first value, like in this screen we define the first value, but in this animation we don't need. Where do we use this one? We use this animation on when we are going to touch our screen, it will call this animation. Let's move to animate as a state. So animate as a state is a visual property. You can implement API like is based on the basically these 5 for DP, offset, float, size, react. So we can implement this animation based on these things. Like I show you this example. If I click on the button, you notice that first button is showing in start and then it will become a middle big. Why? Because I'm changing this on the click base. Here I'm just going to click and then change there. Next, when animating multiple values, how is a difficult for our Android developer to achieve their view pager? How we will get animation to our view pager? So it's Jetpack Compose is very easy to get there. Just like we are putting there, change their color, and even though we change their content color, so also we can change this type of animations. So it's Jetpack Compose. Now we are going very easily to change these things to achieve these. And this is my favorite part, that how we can check that animation there is how long it takes and how it will be look like. It's a simple studio. You see this sign on your XML. You just click on that, and after that you can see this thing to like enter how much data your entrance, how much it take time out. You can even control your speed, like this one 1 second, 2 seconds, or 1x fast and 2x fast. If we want to create custom animation, how we will achieve that? So in that case, we will use animation spec. Animation spec is a different thing. We provide use this thing to customize our animation. How we do that? Like this, they have this type of twins, spring, keyframe, repeatable, and infinite repeatable, and snap. So this is a custom animation that we can implement our own. You can say that if our requirement is a one animation change after 4 seconds or 5 seconds, then we can use this one. And what is a spinning? Spinning is basically physical animation that we can show that is going bouncing, and then how it's bounce and what it will be a speed. It has a basically their spring doubling ratio, no bouncing by default is have. If you are not defined this one, by default it will pick this one. This has a different scenario. And stiffness, what it will be, it decides how your value go to end of your animation, and to your values go very fast and low or medium. Here you can see the example. I just first low bouncing is showing that you start from change the bouncing after 3 dB. When it's either 3 dB, it will be a bounce slow, fast, slow, medium, and high. You can notice that it's a bouncing slow and sniffing low. And when it's a 300 dB is your animation arrived at. So this animation go very slightly to end off. If you notice that. And what is twin? Basically, twin animation is needed. I said 3 parameters when I want to start, how much delay, and easing. Easing is when you allow your animation how it will be moved forward, how it will be moved forward fast or slow. You can use easing. It have a different 4 by default types. First, if you notice, before here is a snap. I just changed it twin. if I'm not going to pass, like see, I mentioned that we need a 3 parameters: duration, delay, and easing. If you just pass the delay, not pass this thing, by default is delay is a 0 second, and easing by default is this one slow. So here I just pass is 1000, it just winning by default, other parameters going to by default. If I am going to pass this thing, like fast out, slow in easing, and this do like that. Keyframe is same like your pin animation, but there is a one thing that we can change the frame based on our requirement. If we want to change the frame speed, like I have a 5-second animation, we want to change the animation on 2 seconds, then we will change the animation frame size speed. So same like this one, I want to by default I start is 5 dp and it's arrive as 300 and frame will be changed. And when more interesting thing, we can also pass easing in their different frame. Like if is by default is a duration 1000 and then when is arrive 50, I will just pass the easing and will be like easing, and when 200 it will be start like these are linear or slowing. So that we can achieve this thing. Repeatable. When we want to achieve one animation, we want to try is go again and again and run again and again. So it will be one method that is repeatable. It by default we will define 3 things: how many times will be repeat, because it's not infinite this one. So we must define the how many times we want to repeat it, and also we need to pass the animation, which type of animation we want to repeat again and again. And second one is repeat mode. It's have two basically repeat mode. One is start and one is a reverse. So here I want to rotate 3 times. Animation is a twin, and then it's a reverse. If you notice that this button, if I click on that, is 3 times I'm going to reverse. And this one is this one is a start, and this one is a reverse. So if you notice that if 3 times is going to reverse back, and this one is going to restart 3 times. So if I want to implement infinite animation, so what I will do? It's a very simple. Just pass infinite repeatable. How many times? It will be 1000 times I want to repeat. Same thing, repeat mode. How I want to repeat, like reverse or restart. Simply like it will be going to infinite that you want to animate your object. Last one is a snap. A snap will skip the animation and value. Same like it behave like other animation, but it's going to skip where you want to end value. Like target values mine is 120 else anything for, and I'm passing the 100 or 300. If you notice that I'm skipping this value like 300, this one is we're going to skip. And other value, if you want to lazy loading and you want to call to any API, and you saw that before we are using shimmer, but in Jetpack Compose we use a placeholder. Then this one is a placeholder, and we can achieve same thing without shimmer. So this field package we have to import, and how we will define in our Jetpack Compose. Just define a placeholder and just showing the visibility. We want to show just true and false, and how we will show the fade. They have a fade in, fade out. Like if you notice that the animation is a fade. So if you want to change another one, just change this one, like fade and shimmer. You can also pass a shimmer here. As I said, how we will just track the animation. Here is a sign icon I already showed in my slides. Go to just simple. I have just preview, just I created preview in this class, and this is a sign that I'm talking about how you will track, and simply it will be like this one. It will be showed how many second and how many time you pass is going to, like you can pass slow, like it will be an animation play slowly, or you want more fast, you can play more fast. But even though you can react that, here is that animation I told you about spinning, how it will spin. If I have a different type of like bouncing, I am going to high bouncing. To when it will exit, it will be high bouncing, already high bouncing. When I am going to start, okay, when it will enter, it will be a medium bouncing. I don't want to more fast bouncing like this one. I'm just going to change this one and then just loading. Okay. Here you can see the, when we start, it's now low bouncing, not going to have fast bouncing because before it's fast bouncing. And other one is just content change. Here when I am clicking on this, before this you notice it's just a small image view. They don't have anything and you can't see it. I want when I click on this one, it will go bigger and show other image that I want to show. That if I click here, it goes a big one. And same like click here if you want to see more, like mostly app have a button like a see more button. So if you can achieve this one, you can simply pass this thing. And but it's very easy to achieve this thing in Jetpack Compose animation. So how I will do that? Simply I just pass the before. Just I change the background and just remember I use the remember keyword that is will keep their state and then just define the background color. If it's not I don't have a color, then change it with yellow. And how many times twins? I will use a 15 millisecond. And same thing like I'm clicking on the button, is expandable or not expandable. I'm just checking on based on their remember value. That's basic thing about Jetpack Compose animation. Content size, I have a lot of things. So twins also I show you in slides. So here you can see that twins items. I think it's done from my side. Any question? No, I will suggest you Dimitri.
Thank you, Naeem. Now we have our beautiful screens connected through some navigation structure patterns. On the left part, of course, we have to test our interfaces, our applications to be sure that are stable, application is stable. Our next speaker, Tipatai, welcome to talk about how we can test Jetpack Compose.
Hi everyone. So first I need to thanks to Secretary that invite me to be a speaker of this session. Thank you very much, and thank you everyone to attend this event. Okay, let's start. Welcome to my session called Compose Screenshot Testing Made Easy. Let me introduce myself first. My name is Tipatai Puthanukunkit. I'm working as a junior principal engineer in the specific on the mobile engineer at the Moveme company. Okay. So at first, what is screenshot testing? So I'm sure that everyone know auto test type, right? Like unit testing and end-to-end testing, right? Unit testing, you need to write some test that verify some unit code or PL function to verify that it's returned the correct value, it's validated correctly, and it's verify it to call the side effect correctly, right? Yeah, by JUnit, something like that. And also end-to-end test, you have some tools like the Espresso, Compose UI testing, Appium, or Kakao. Yeah. Yeah, but now in this session, I will specific only on the screenshot testing. So what is it? So it's very simple. It has only 2 steps. Okay. The first one is a record. So when you run the first time, you record your screen first and save as the image and store in your storage. Okay. And next step is you modify it by you run again and you compare your screen that you run when you modify to the screenshot that you saved before that it is different too much or not. Is it acceptable in the threshold that you set? It's passed. It passed. But if not, it failed. Yeah, it's simple like that. So it has the good thing that it's easy to write all possible state of screen because you can put only some state to the screen component, right? And let it render to the image. Yeah, and it's simple and faster than normal end-to-end testing, right? Because on that case, you need to run on your device and set up something like some command that you need to use at on view, perform click, and insert some text on the UI, right? And I think it's hard to insert the image, right? Because you need to verify that it's the correct image resource or not, or maybe the color. Yeah, but it has downside to that, yeah, because it cannot test the user interaction, right? Like navigation flow, like the end-to-end test. Okay, so how to do it? So I will introduce some first library. So anyone know that this library before? It's called shot. No one. Okay. So it's a library that help you to run the screenshot test on the real device or the emulator. Yeah, but we will not use it in this session. I have the much better option for you. It's called paparazzi. So it can do as the shot do, but you don't need to run the screenshot test on the real device or the emulator because the paparazzi is have the it export the render engine of your Android Studio that is preview on the right side of your UI. You remember, right? When you write XML or Compose UI, it extracts that mechanism to be the screenshot test. That's why it doesn't need the real device. And it's recommended to keep the image file into the Git LFS, so you can read more in the paparazzi URL. Yeah. But yeah, paparazzi have one limitation that you should run paparazzi on Android library module only. So in this case, you need to restructure your project a little bit. That you need to keep every Compose UI in the gray module core UI. So you cannot keep your UI in the app module. Okay, you need to separate it to the outer module. And you can see on the bottom, it has the green module for app. This one is the app module that build the APK for you, right? And the right side is the screenshot test. So paparazzi job is running on the yellow module that includes the UI module. And it also works with a multi-module feature. So you can have many feature modules as you want, and you can draw the line like this. Yeah, and it is some sample code that I show you that it's simple JUnit test that you need to define the test rule on the top first, right? Paparazzi instance equal paparazzi, and you can define the max percent difference in the percentage. So this one is the value of the threshold that you define that. Yes, okay. You define that how much difference of your expected and actual image to be difference in the pixel. So in this case, I define as 0.05. And you can write some simple test, annotation test JUnit, right? And function. So you can call paparazzi.snapshot. So this snapshot function will open the lambda area that the inside is the composable area. So you can put any composable stuff in the function to make it work. Yeah. And after this, okay, let's do screenshot test together. So first, I will define the spec here. So we will test the login screen. Okay. So if you have the 4 state. So it has the 4 state on the left side. So it has the simple text field with the phone number level with the submit button. And second state, you type the value, right? You type the phone number already. And third state that after you type the value and click the button, it should show loading overlay the screen. And the fourth one, it has other state. For example, maybe you click submit without typing any phone number, So it should have the red error message called require phone number. So maybe in your real world case, maybe more complex than this, but I want to make it simple, okay? So let me introduce the concept that I want to use to create the screen. So I want to make every screen to be the stateless. I will tell you this one after this slide why, okay? So we will have stateless composable screen, and we will have the state container that it can be the composable that carry the remember state, or maybe the view model that you used before, okay? Maybe it's a view model in the fragment or activity that contain the state inside as a byte data or the flow type. So the concept is the stateless composable will send the view action, something like the user interaction like on click, on type, on select, on score, something like that. It's the action that sent to the state container to mutate state and render new view state to the screen. So in this session, we will focus on the view state that when view state put into the screen, it enter into the correct image. Okay, so view state will look like this as we have on screen before, right? So we will have the first parameter called loading as the Boolean type, and default value should be false because when you open the page, it should not loading anything, right? And second parameter is phone number. So this value used in the text field to show the correct phone number text that user is typing. So default should be the empty string too because user didn't type anything. Yeah. And the third one is phone number error. So it should be the string optional, right? Because at default it should not have any error message to show. Okay, and for the view action, yeah, it's the event from the UI, right? Yeah, set phone number and submit button, so it's okay. I will skip it. Okay, let's see together. Yeah, it is a stateless composable screen, right? So we will have composable call login screen, and we will put two parameters in there. The first one is the state that you need to be render the composable UI. And second is the dispatch function. So this is a callback function that receives every user behavior and call back to the outsider, composable, or the state container to mutate state or call API, anything else. Okay. So why we make it stateless? Because it's more easy to make a preview function, right? Because you can put any state to make it render your expected preview. If you make it stateful, or maybe you put the view model in here, it's hard to construct the whole view model with the some of the dependency that inject by the dagger or coil, right? But if you put only simple plain data class, it's very more easy to make the many variant of state that can be possible to render on your screen. That's why I suggest to make it stateless. Okay. Okay. So we all know right that Compose have the preview function. That's XML guy cannot use it. Yeah. Because XML cannot preview many variant of the UI in one time, but Compose can. So we will do preview function first. In default state, yeah, create preview function, right? Call create function preview and put the login screen composable in here and put the default state in here, and we will got the preview on the right side of IDE like this, right? It is the first state default. Second one with value, yeah. Simple as the previous one, but change the phone number to be the some random number that I logged in. And it's preview on the right side too. Same for the third one, yeah. Set loading to be true, the state. Same for the fourth one, yeah. Phone number error, yeah. It should show some bad text here, right? Yeah, maybe in the real world you can have 10 or 70 preview, or maybe preview by the variant of the text scale, or maybe device width, device height, or maybe dark theme, light theme, depend on your requirement, okay? But I will make it simple in this session. Okay, so we preview already. So we can put preview function into privacy test to make it to be screenshot test like this. So we always preview function as before, right? But we never use it in the screenshot test. So we can use that function in the privacy code like this. So you can see that it has the test function for each preview. So you can put the preview function in the snapshot area. to make it automatically the screenshot test like this. Okay, so next, after that code finish, you can call the record command, right? Gather the menu, record proprietary debug. After you record finish, it will generate this of image in the snapshot image folder like this for every test case that you add. For in this case, you can see that it has a 4 case, right? For 4 state that we add to the test. Yeah, after record, we can modify by this command. So we can call gather the menu, modify proprietary debug. So we can put this command in your CI, right, to modify every time that open pull request change that your current composable is matched with your record image or not. Yeah. So you can put into the GitHub CI, Jenkins, or GitHub CI up to your test. Yeah, but the question is, what happens if the image is not matched to the record image, right? It will error like this, and it will generate the list of the image that fail in the below image like this. And each image will show you that how it different between the expected and actual image, right? This. So in the image, the left side is the expected that we record before, right? And the right side is the actual image that you run when you modify it. And the center is the delta of the between of the expected and actual. Then you can see the color that is not aligned, right? Yeah, so if you find like this, you can fix this to be similar to the expected again and unmodify again to make it pass. Yeah. Yeah, but you can see, right, that in this case, if we have many screen, the login screen, right, maybe modify OTP, home screen, product list, product detail, 10 or 20 page, you need to enter the green area repeatedly for each page, right? But manually, maybe it's painful for us, and we know that developers want to make something more lazy, right? Yeah. So the question is, if we can generate all preview to be tested automatically or not. So it means that we can add only preview function, and it auto generate all the green area of this by not putting it manually. Yes, we can. Okay. The first library is called showcase. It's come from the Airbnb. So library, this library is the annotation processing library to generate the metadata of the compose that it will detect all of the preview annotation to generate as the component list. So if we have the 10, if we have 4 preview on the previous screen, login screen, right? It will generate all of the 4 composable screen into the list of the 4 composable in the component list parameter. And same for the typography and color. If we mark the typography and color in the code, it will generate the typography and all of the color in your project to be the list too. And if you use all of the list metadata to be a UI component catalog, that I will show you in next slide. And it's also we can use this list of the component to be iteration of the screenshot test, right? Because we get all of the list of preview function already. For example, here, yeah. So it's one of the one benefit of the showcase. So we can see every composable in our project. Maybe if we mark all of the UI key components such as the custom button, custom text, custom tab bar, custom bottom navigation bar as a your UI component of your personal company project, right? You can see everything in this showcase catalog that have many components that you can use, or you can export this to UI UX guide to see that your component is aligned correctly with the Figma or not. And also the all the color set and the typography set you can see in here too. It is one more benefit of the showcase than the screenshot test. Okay, second library, test parameter injectors. It is library from Google, so it will transform the showcase metadata from previous library to be the unit test case. Yeah. So we will integrate two of these library together to make it auto generate the test case like this. So first one, we just to set up small stuff for the showcase first. So in the screenshot test module, we need to define one of the screenshot showcase module like this, and make it extend the showcase root module and annotate it with the showcase root annotation first. After finish this step, so we need to define the preview provider here. This is the pattern of the test parameter injector to provide the test parameter for the test case. So you can see that the provide values function return the list of test preview, right? This one is the list of the test case that we will generate. So in this case, we will integrate the test parameter injector together with showcase, right? So in the first line, we get metadata from the showcase first, and you can see in the next line, we get the component list and color list and typography list, and it has the custom map that you can look later in my repository. It's a little bit complex, yeah. But we can define only one time and use forever. And after we get all of the component, color, and topography, right, we concat all of the list into the test preview component. After that, yeah, come back to the test function, right? So we will have the paparazzi class again, but we need to annotate on the top of the class with the run with test parameter injector to make it inject the parameter. And you can see that we can have only one test case here, test function. But we need to custom the parameter in the test case that add annotation the test parameter and put the value provider as the preview provider that we define in this page into this. You can see. After that, you provide the component preview type to be test preview. After that, in the test body, you can see it called the same command, paparazzi.snapshot, and it will call the component preview.content. This one will render the composable of all the showcase that it detects the preview annotation for you automatically. Yeah. Okay, for the summary of the our solution, we use the paparazzi, right, to run the screenshot test without the real device. Yeah, first library. Second library, we use showcase to generate the showcase metadata from the detect sub annotation of the preview function already. And we will use the test parameter injector to make the showcase metadata to be the test case. Integrate all of this library, it makes the auto-based screenshot test generator. Yeah, and example repository is on the top. Maybe you can visit it later. This example, I set up all of the things that I talked before to make it work already. Yeah, you can see the sample how I separate the module in that repository, and how I set showcase with the paparazzi and with test parameter injector. Yeah, and on the bottom you can see the library URL in here, and the last one is the my personal recommend URL that is the state hoisting concept from the Google. So I recommend you to read this that how you make it how you make composable stateless. That recommend for the best practice of Google. Yes. Okay, thank you. So any questions?
Yeah, so I have a question. As far as I understand, the way this library works is that you take a screenshot of what you want to be tested, right? And then this library compares what you have in your test to the screenshot, right? So it basically compares your UI to the screenshot.
Yes, it will compare your current screen that run on the paparazzi to be your image in your list. So you need to add image in your repository, copy together, or you can use Git LFS to reference to the image. Yeah.
Yeah. So my question is, like, if you have different screen sizes, for example, if you uploaded a screenshot of a device like a, I don't know, Pixel or something, something with a high resolution, and you're testing something with a really low screen resolution, how would that work? Because the elements would be a bit different on the screen. So
paparazzi can define the device that you want to test. You can see in the top, you can see, right, device config called Pixel 2. So in this case, all all the test case in the project will based on Pixel 2. But you can apply to make it dynamic by test case. That maybe you can have Pixel 2, Pixel 3, Pixel 4, 3 device, and you can make it integrate together with the PB provider to add more test case. That maybe in this case we have base test case, right? But we can multiply it by the add more device configuration, right? Maybe we have 3 devices, so we can have 3 devices that have set of this test. So you can do it in in privacy.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Tipatai. Thank you, all speakers. That's basically it that we would like to share today. So, Jetpack Compose provides a wide range of options to develop modern new UI, and there is also a lot of third-party libraries like companies on the market, which you can try. And I highly recommend you to try this new UI framework. It works much faster. It works much beautiful with all new animations. Try it, share your experience, and join our meetups. On the screen you can see the QR code. We are asking for your feedback for this meetup, for our speakers to continue to improve and share your opinion, what topics you would like to see next time. Thank you, everyone. Now you can enjoy the pizza. Enjoy the pizza on the kitchen area. Also some beer and cool drinks. Thanks everyone.